Welcome back, folks. Before I start, I wanted to mention something at the start of the video which I forgot to, just in case Jenny from New Zealand is watching. Jenny sent me the most gorgeous book which arrived yesterday, and I've searched and searched and I can't find, I remember talking to you, I can't find where we were talking, so please Jenny from New Zealand, if you are watching, please will you contact me again so that I can thank you properly for this astonishing, gorgeous book. It's so beautiful, and too beautiful in fact to cut up, even for me. I will certainly enjoy reading from it and browsing through it. It's very, very lovely, but it will sit safely on my shelf and be loved forevermore. It's beautiful. Thank you so very, very much. I'm sorry about the mix-up. So back to the book here. Let me see where I was. One thing that I didn't mention was, you know, I said how there was no flowers in this book. All the prints I've done from leaves and grasses, and I've used a lot of dried seed heads, which of course used to be flowers. I wanted to give the impression that plants and flowers were finding it hard to stay alive in this particular forest. I wanted it to be more, excuse me, more dark and sinister, and without florals. So many of these old illustrations seem to centre around people being lost in the woods. And of course, in olden times, when they were much, much, much bigger, the forests, than they are now. This is handmade paper. I imagine it was much easier to get lost as well. Actually, to be honest, it's not that difficult for me to get lost anywhere. I have the most terrible sense of direction, so I have to be careful where I wander about. I do especially like when you print these on wet paper. You get these beautiful misty effects. It reminds me of early mornings. So more seed heads here. And this is quite a nice, this is like a shepherd's purse type plant. I'm not sure what it came from, but again dried seed heads. And these lovely lichen effects with the inks. This is a little origami envelope that has its own, like a clasp here, that is folded from itself, which is quite cool. More seed heads and skeletonized petals here again. It's a dried specimen. And with these tracing paper, I was trying to get like a bark effect, and I think it came out quite well with these inks. And you can see stitching along the edges here. hope I don't make you guys feel seasick or anything when you're looking at my videos. I know that I'm always up and down with the books. I want you to see the little details, but also I'm thinking, hope I'm not making them dizzy, because that would not be a good effect or a desired result. So this is inked tracing paper again. Pocket on torn edged paper. Print on fabric. And I've used a lot of these little mushroom stamps throughout the book. Skeleton leaf, more prints. This is a dictionary definition of dusk. And here on the last page I have a little clipping which is from a vintage Shakespeare book, not Jenny's book. My resolve lasted a long time, didn't it? No, Jenny's book is over there safely. So this is the last speech from Midsummer Night's Dream, and I thought it went very well with this kind of darker themed book journal. It says, "If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that ye have but slumbered here, while these visions did appear." That's one of my favourites. So, and there's a little bear on a German postage stamp there appropriately, and a tag with a handmade stamp, and a little fussy cut clipping, and some prints under here too. So this paper was from, I'll link it below, and I can't recall the name, from one of the Etsy shops. Beautiful Italian papers. And I wanted to go for that more opulent effect from the not the little cottage, but the other kind of house that you find in the Black Forest. And this paper, it glued so beautifully, I have to say. So if you are looking for somewhere to spend some money, I do recommend these lovely people. That it's a really beautiful quality. It stuck down so easily, absolutely no bubbles to sort out. So the cover is fabric, and I wanted to go for a very traditional kind of a Grimm's Brothers look, and I think that the colouring has come out very well, and the shape. I've used this beautiful woodcut in this folklore style, folk art style, sorry, and the back cover is like so. Lots and lots of sewing, and you will see some of the less pleasant creatures of the forest. There is a lizard and a frog on a lily pad. Reminded me of the frog prints. A black toadstool and various beads. There is a fairy tale castle Cuckoo clock. Apparently the local people to the Black Forest, in the winter when everything was covered in snow and they couldn't work, they made smaller items and furniture, and the region became known for its cuckoo clocks. And spinning wheel, of course. You know, one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen on the telly. That film, that's Sleeping Beauty film, I can never remember what it's called, with Angelina. He was brilliant in that film, I have to say. But when the king gets all the spinning wheels in the kingdom piled up and put in this room to get burned, and I really wanted to cry, it was so awful. So, you know when they say, what will you grab in a fire? Well, that's my spinning wheel, I'm afraid. So that's the book, and of course there's this little decoration, and I've just done this so that it slips very easily into the hollow of the spine here between your pages and the cover. So if you want to display the book on a shelf, it's going to look pretty there. Of course, it's always recommended to keep books upright. Stacking books, I don't mean the handmade books, I mean any books. Stacking books this way is always going to put pressure on the spine where you don't want it, and weaken it over time. So we keep them this way, and traditionally this is what the headbands were for, because when you think, if you have a book on a shelf, to take it off the shelf, which is the part that you grab onto, is the top of the spine, of course. So we don't want to focus now. That's what the headband is protecting, because the spine, if you look at any of your books at home, the spine is almost always thinner than your thick book boards. So that gives it some protection here. So I'm very pleased with the kind of traditional look that this book has come out with. I think that's all I have to tell you about it, except that it is for sale. So it's not a custom order, and today is Thursday, and what I decided to do is wait till this evening, about 10 o'clock British time, or GMT time, which will put it, I think, for most of my audience, which is in the States, it will be kind of early evening for you, depending where you are. So that's it. Just one more look at the lovely papery goodness, because I forgot to mention that I've used torn edges again, and you can see with the torn edges it exemplifies this lovely coloured effect with the inks, because the inks go into the tears. Much prettier than a straight edge, I think. And I've put these artificial leaves as well. So I hope that you like the book. I think that's all that I had to tell you. Yeah, so thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye.